All right, let's get into this, man. I'm excited to talk. I
All
feel like we've
right.
been trying to do this. Everybody who's listening, this is Lydia, aka Mama
Hello.
Monster on Instagram. She's one of my favorite people on Instagram and great content
No,
creator. And I feel like we've been trying to do this for like a
a
couple
long time.
years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you
Yes.
recently gone through a move. So have I. So like
Like three
that just
moves actually.
yeah. So you were in Germany, correct?
I was I mean, I've been all over, but I was in Germany for like 7 years and then I moved back. I'm from Oklahoma, so I moved back to Oklahoma for a year. But even in Oklahoma, when I moved there, I moved again in Oklahoma to a place. And then now we're in Colorado. So
Right,
we
right.
moved here at the end of June. So yeah, it's been a lot of
Yeah.
moving.
Man. What's Oklahoma like though?
What it sounds like.
I
That's what
just
it is.
I'm
No,
like I'm sheltered, man. I've pretty much been on the East Coast and that's it.
yeah.
I don't know much more, you know. It's like being from Maine, it's like yeah, you go to Florida once in a while and that's about it.
Hmm.
So I don't know about
Well,
I don't know about out that way.
I'm not like I'm from the city, so it's not like, my cousins, they are from New York. When we're younger, they're like, well, you have like tumbleweeds. I'm like, seriously? No.
The
But I
stereotypes.
think seriously, I think though after like the thunder came and stuff, even before that, who did we get? Uh, After they had the hurricane, they moved. I forgot what team it was. I forgot. We had a basketball team before the Thunder, and I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
after that they started building and building more and stuff. So I mean, there's stuff to do, but I was
Right.
there forever. I'm over
Yeah, no, I
it.
feel that. So then you went to Germany.
Hmm.
And I mean, I remember you going to like a lot of like did you do like the Krampus festivals and stuff like that?
So I did Krampus in Germany, but I really wanted to do the one in Austria,
Yeah.
because that's like they do that nighttime with the fire and stuff.
Mhm.
And we planned to go, but I don't remember if I was sick or my son was sick or both of us. So me and my son stayed back, but my daughter and my husband, they went. So I
Right.
got some videos, like they got to explore that. So it was pretty
Yeah, that's
cool.
cool, man. Wow. And
Hmm.
how long were you there for?
7 years.
Wow.
So
So it
I
was
went
really like
from,
home.
yeah, it was, and I was really sad to leave. And it's so easy to travel from there, like go everywhere. I've been to like 19 countries just
Wow.
because it made it so easy to travel and cheap. I can't do that from here.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been like obviously I said I'm from Oklahoma, then I moved to New Mexico and then to Alaska, then to Turkey, then to Germany, then back here. So
So you've been on the move.
I have been.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's so cool though. And so what really got you into I mean the cliche question is what got you into horror, but what made you want to start like a content creation page, I guess I would say.
You know, I never thought I would because I'm actually like a really shy person,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't want the attention on me and stuff like that. But I think after the year 2020, I kind of like erased myself from like all social media for a while. I was just like I just needed a break.
Not the worst idea.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was like, I need a break. And then 2021 came around and I was just sitting there and I was like, man, like, because there was this one guy I followed on Instagram. He was just poor. And I was like, I loved his stuff. And one day I was just thinking, I was like, oh, I can make a horror Instagram because I can find like-minded people, and I
Right.
don't have to have friends from home and stuff that I really don't care about.
Sure. Sure.
And so that's what happened. And then I just made my Instagram. And then a few months later, I was like, man, it'd be fun to make a YouTube. Like, let me try. And then my husband was like, it was weird because I thought about it and I was like, nah. And then my husband came home one day and he was like, I was thinking you should make a horror YouTube. I was like, okay, so maybe this is something I should do. I don't
Has to
know.
happen, has to happen.
Yeah.
That's cool. So like yeah, I was kind of the same way. I was like I love horror movies, I love films, and I
Hmm.
was like I didn't follow anybody like that.
Hmm.
And I basically just use social media to like keep up on my friends and then like my
Yeah.
sports teams and stuff like that. Then I was like I should make like a horror Instagram page. And I was like
Yeah.
I was like I bet no one does that. And then and then
We have a whole community.
And then I made it, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these followers of this
Right,
stuff, and I'm
right.
like, oh, wait a minute, it's like a whole thing. Shit, I should have known that. So it was kind of like but it was cool because, I met people like you. I
Right.
met all these other people that I can
Yeah.
connect with, which, a lot of my friends are into movies and stuff, not all of them into horror
Mm,
movies, but so I didn't have like
right.
a great outlet for it, you know what I mean? But I will
Mm,
say I never thought I was like you. I'm very, I don't know if I'd go to say that I'm shy, but I'm pretty quiet in real life.
hmm hmm
And then my wife is like, "What's up with you? You get on a podcast and you're like, blah blah blah, fucking, and you're all over the place." I'm like, I know it's kind of like my
Yeah, like
little,
it's something, yeah.
yeah. And I think it's because like I've never had the opportunity to connect with people on this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
it kind of opened up these doors to be more creative and then start writing movies and all that kind of stuff. So it's such a cool. I will say this though. I usually come on here and I talk to creators and I'm like, there's no place like the horror community. It's like always so
hmm
loving
hmm
and so like, everybody loves everybody and all this stuff. But I
Yeah.
will say, I don't want to get too deep into this because it's touchy, but I will say the last couple of months have been a little like not so lovable with like the election and like all this kind of
hmm
stuff. And I don't know if you heard what like Damien Leone, that whole
Oh
post
my
that he
gosh,
did. And
yes.
like, I always saw horror as one of the genres that like brought a lot of different people together, where it was like,
Exactly.
it was a home for a lot of different people. Um,
hmm
and,
Well, and
really,
that's what too, another reason why I love the community too, because I felt like growing up, a lot of people maybe that looked like me, like weren't
mm,
into like horror and stuff
sure.
like I was. So then
Yeah.
when I came into it, it's like so diverse and everybody, and I'm like, I feel so welcomed and
Mm,
accepted, and I feel comfortable saying I like this and
yeah.
without being judged. So yeah.
Yeah, so I have to say, I always say that. I'm like, yeah, it's this community that just accepts everybody and all this time. And now
hmm
you're like, I feel like I'm starting to see a little bit of a shift
Yeah.
where people are kind of getting on each other's nerves and like I just feel like you bring politics into anything and it's like this weird,
Anything. Yeah.
and all of a sudden there's this divide and I
Right. Right.
and like I was saying, I understand that horror is political to an extent.
hmm
And I guess it always has been, or whether it be about actual politics or about
Right.
just lifestyle choices or
hmm
sexuality or all
Yeah.
these types of things. Um, but you're seeing a little bit of like this divide on top of what I think is probably one of the best years of horror we've ever got, or we've gotten in the past, maybe 10 years, um,
hmm
with some great movies coming out with like all these underlying themes and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect like the Terrifier franchise to be the one to like kind of set everything off, you know?
Seriously, I know I was kind of like shocked because when I saw David post something, I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like I love that he's able to voice,
Right, sure.
and make people know and feel accepted and stuff. And then, here he goes and I saw people posting about, I was like, what are you talking about? And then I went, I was like, I was like, oh
Right.
goodness. So and it's kind of like he put himself like, I don't have an opinion, I'm neutral. That kind of makes it
Right.
worse,
Right. Yeah.
like
Because people take it as when you say you don't have an opinion, then we know what
hmm
side you're on. Right.
exactly. I was like, maybe you shouldn't have just said anything, just like
Right. But it's like something I resonated a little bit with because I've always tried to keep out of that type of thing. Like,
hmm
because just for the record, I love everybody. I
yeah,
fucking
of course.
love them. But there's this weird like thing where I'm like, oh, I don't want to, that's not why I wanted to be in the community or like love
Well,
movies.
yeah,
I want to talk about
yeah.
movie. It's
We're
like
talking about movies.
it's supposed to be an escape, it feels like. But I do
hmm
understand that there is this responsibility of like what you're talking about, what you're saying, who you're
Yeah.
talking to. Um, but it's interesting to see someone like the director of Terrifier to like get thrown into something where every or just anybody in general where you get into this limelight and then no matter what you say is under a microscope, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's very touchy. And you might not necessarily ask for that, You know what I mean? Like as a director, as a person, you're just like I'm, because he kind of did say like, and by the way, I'm not a Terrifier fan. I don't like any of the movies, so
You don't? I
I
didn't
really,
know that.
yeah, I really don't. There's something about them that I really respect the special effects and like,
Yeah,
I think they're some of the best I've ever seen since probably
right.
the Thing maybe was like the last one that
Oh,
you're like, whoa. And then The Substance. I don't know if you've seen The Substance yet, but
yes.
oh my God,
Yeah, I
it's
saw
unbelievable.
it.
Blew my mind. It was unbelievable. I loved it.
Yes,
But
so good.
you know, since the Thing, we haven't had those awesome practical effects. And
Yeah,
then
no,
Terrifier
for
came through, and
sure.
it's like super gross and like awesome and
Mhm.
all that stuff.
I think why that's why I love it so much too,
Sure,
because I
sure.
appreciate that.
I love a good story, and I don't see
Yeah,
this. The
but
story's
there's
not quite.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
I understand. I know there's some people that said that,
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, I understand if you want a story, but for me, it was just like the gore, and then it's kind of like, especially like the first one, it's like 80s vibe, so that's why I
sure.
like it. But I was like, yeah, there's definitely not a story though, but
Yeah, yeah. They're really. It's like I saw. So I
at
haven't
least the
seen
first
the.
one, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the third one yet. So like
Okay,
I can't speak
yeah.
on the third one.
I think
Um,
the third one they do try to put more story in it, but
yeah.
yeah.
And I think he had come out and said that the fourth one he's gonna reveal where Art came from and like other what he's all
Yes,
about and all this kind of stuff.
yes.
But it was weird to see him be like, he would in that same statement he was like, I just wanted to make movies about a killer clown. He's like, that's what I wanted, and now I'm like
Yeah.
kind of thrown into this whole thing, and it's like,
Hmm.
maybe what he said wasn't, very intuitive, I guess I would say, but it is
Yeah.
a weird thing that you're getting this tug and, pull situation where like,
Right.
we're kind of all being thrown in to have this opinion, and some of us are kind of like, I just want to watch the movie, and like,
Right, right.
but
He's like
it's
I didn't
weird.
want to I didn't want this, but
But yeah, but you have,
oh yeah.
to my point of like you having a responsibility, I guess, once
Yeah,
you know, to
exactly. You have this
society and your
platform
fans.
and
Sure, sure. So that's interesting. But yeah, the Terrifier movies, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't
I get
know.
it. I do get it.
I think I had a problem right from the beginning where like people were like, oh, he's on like he's closing in on being an icon, and I was like, ah, I'm so like OG, like
Right.
I'm the same way with sports. It's like LeBron James was thrown in being like he's the best ever,
Hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, but Jordan though,
Right, right. He's like,
like
no.
so I'm like I'm lumped into this OG aspect of like people are saying that, and I'm like, yeah, but like Jason and
Right,
Freddie,
right,
like
right.
you're really gonna knock
Exactly.
them off their place for this
Like,
guy? Like, come
no,
on,
not for
man.
me. I mean, he's pretty. I think he's pretty iconic just because he's funny
Right.
and obviously his kills are brutal. But no, Freddy will always be my favorite villain. So,
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely brutal. When I watched the second one, I was like, wow, this is some of the
oh
best
yeah,
practical effects I've ever seen.
yeah,
But I was like,
yeah.
man, this movie's, and I was
You're like,
just
that's
like,
it.
I was like, man, this movie's bad. But like,
It's so bad.
but I understand why people like it, so it's cool. I totally get it. But
Yeah.
yeah, just a weird time for horror right now. And I think part of it is like it's getting shot back into the mainstream a little bit, where for
Hmm.
a while we were kind of
Oh
below
yeah.
sea level, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Where like action movies and the Marvel movies were huge, and like that was the
Hmm.
big the hero movies, and now we've had like 2 or 3 years of horror being like making a lot of money,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like and a lot of controversy with the movies and like all this kind of stuff, and now I think people are kind of being like, oh yeah, like horror kind of can do its thing as far as storytelling and like,
Yeah.
or as far as like, and a lot of movies coming out with action in it, and
Hmm.
a lot of like good remakes or sequels coming out where for a while we were getting some cheesy shit like money
Yeah.
makers, and so I think it's kind of back on the map. So then you kind of get the limelight put back on you.
Yeah, I think TikTok definitely like
Sure.
hyped it up, especially like with Scream and stuff, like,
Yeah.
people like of course we cosplay because we like to cosplay, but then you get on TikTok and we have like the sexy ghost face and all
Yeah,
this
the
stuff. So
sexy stuff.
which is
Yeah.
fine, but
Sure.
I feel like that like pushed it out and then the creators on there as well. So Yeah, I feel like TikTok definitely has hyped it up, but
Yeah, that's the
um,
sexy ghost face.
but yeah,
It's
they're out there.
true. It's true. I'm sure a lot of men and women aren't hating the
Yeah,
sexy ghost face. They're
no,
like,
I'm
you,
not.
you're like, you know what? That's a true horror fan right there.
But I love it. I love
Let
it.
her do her thing. But yeah, but another thing too is I feel like, did you feel a switch in horror community on Instagram where like there was a lot of, and I don't know if I'm just in tune to this kind of stuff because
Yeah.
I do like a lot of marketing stuff for my job, so like I'm always in
Mhm.
tune to like the changes in the culture.
Okay. Okay.
And like, I mean, when me and you first started following each other and then we got to know each other and we were doing like cosplays and we were doing
Yeah.
collabs, and like that was the thing. I feel like
Oh
everyone was
yeah.
doing a collab. Anyone who was
Yeah.
anybody on the page was like, "Yeah, I collabed with this
Hmm.
person." They were like, "Whoa, you did it. I want to do something with that person," or
Yes.
like
Yes.
whatever. And you like got to know people that way, which was cool. But now it feels like that's going away a little bit.
You know,
You haven't seen many
I
collabs.
no, I agree. And it's funny that you say that because, like I've been kind of distant, especially YouTube, for like
Mhm.
the last year and a half, because I told you my moving and some other stuff. But um for me, I want to come back and do more, but for that reason, I kind of like I don't even know how to come back because I feel like they don't do what we were doing before,
Right.
you
No, it's not a
know?
thing. I
I
don't
feel
know
like
if it's
it's
our
different.
age. Are we getting older? And
I
like
know,
now
are we old?
we're like the old
Like not
ones
for
hanging
you.
around, like we're the ones clinging on by a thread, and all the new people are like, "What are you doing? Like, just
The
let
people that
go."
graduated high school going back to the
Oh.
parties.
They're like new and edgy and shit, and we thought we
I
were cool. But I
know.
feel like the new thing now is
Yeah.
like, and I don't mean to throw shade on anybody, but like
No, of
the
course not.
kind of like crappy like green screen thing where like
Yeah.
someone's on top of it and they're like, "This new movie you have to see. It's the scariest movie."
Yeah.
And they have the
Yes.
movie like playing, but that's like the new
Yes.
thing.
It is.
And
It
I'm like, "Oh,
is.
I don't do that."
I
Oh
know.
no,
It's
what
like,
do I
wait,
do?
what do I do?
It's
Take
a
notes.
totally new thing. Like I see all these new
It
people coming on,
is.
and guess what? There's a market for it, and there's like people like it, so that's fine. But
Yeah, for sure.
every time I scroll through TikTok, it's someone being like, "You have to see this movie. It's
Oh,
this. It's about this, and
100%.
it's the scariest thing I've seen.
100%.
I just got out
Most
of
of
the theater, and it's like, whoa." And that was not a thing. And now that's
no.
the cool thing to
I
do. And I was like, oh
know.
no. And I see these people that got
It's
like
a lot.
15, 20,000 followers, and I'm like, oh
Or
no.
more. Like those
Yeah.
are seriously, I see that. I mean, I follow a few of them, but I'm like,
Yeah.
this is cool, but it's like that's not me though. But it's
No,
like,
right, right. It's like
are we?
I've had a few of them on the podcast, and they're great people.
Yeah.
I've had Chuck the movie guy on. He was great,
Oh,
and he was
cool.
big on TikTok first, and now he's kind of come over to
Hmm.
Instagram and like built his following here.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's awesome. He's a great dude, and he's fun to talk horror movies with, and a couple other people. But it's like that's the new everybody's. So it's one of
Right.
those things where I'm like everybody's doing it, and I'm like, oh no, I'm
What
I'm
do I do?
yeah. What do I do? I'm the guy. I'm the old guy hanging on.
Right.
Shit.
Well, not only that, I think a lot of people too on TikTok like you to do voiceovers, and I suck at them.
Sure.
And I
And
like we
they
went to a
they
horror.
hold the mic like the little shitty mic
Yes,
right
the
here, and
little yeah, yeah.
they're like this is what I think, and they're like
I even
monotone.
I actually got one off of the TikTok shop. It's on its way, but I'm definitely not gonna hold it. Hope maybe I
It's
can put it here. Hopefully,
right here.
it cracks
Yeah,
me up the
and
little.
yeah, and they're like monotone, and they're like this movie was the scariest
Yes,
thing. If you look right
yes,
here, there was this crazy thing that happened, and it's like that's the new thing, and I'm like, oh no, I'm old
yes.
again.
I know.
Fuck.
We went to a horror coffee shop this past week, last weekend, and I already like put a video together, but I'm like, I want to speak on it because I was like, I wanted to try it. But every time I was like, nope, I'll do it later. I
Yeah, I won't do it.
was
Shit.
like, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's the new thing, and it's like the new edgy, cool thing, and like, what's the next
Yeah,
thing? You know what I mean? I don't want to
right,
like get into
right.
that, and then there's the new thing.
Let's make it. We'll make a new thing. So that,
Yeah, yeah. I think what we
yeah,
need
we
to
need
do
to
is
do it.
we need to bring back the
The old stuff.
collabing. Fuck yeah,
Yes,
dude! Like, I
yes,
want to bring
I'm
that
down.
shit back because it's super cool, and not a lot of people do it
Yeah.
anymore. I still like that stuff
No, definitely.
because I feel like
I'm down
horror
for it.
cosplayers are kind of like you know, it's not really festival season and all that kind of, or like
Right.
convention season, so I get it, but like I feel
Hmm.
like even some of the bigger like cosplayers that go to those things and put a lot of time and effort into their
Yeah.
costumes are like kind of maybe feeling that a little bit too, like, oh, this isn't like what people like want to see
Right.
anymore, you know? It's like
Right.
all very quick 30-second clips of something, and
Hmm.
so,
Hmm.
and then obviously like photos themselves are kind of going out, right? Like
Right.
Instagram has like geared towards video, more video content because they're trying to compete with TikTok, right?
The reels and
Um,
stuff.
which is cool. I like that stuff too, you know. I like to see
Hmm.
videos, and you know, I've dabbled in it a little myself, but like I
Yeah.
now I feel like I'm the old guy when I go on, I like have a mask on and I'm like holding up a movie. And like that's what my whole feed used to be, you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
oh no, it's like I feel like I was just getting the hang of it.
You're like, I'm great.
Yeah,
Wait.
oh no, I'm phased out.
No.
They're like, look at this old guy. You got like some 19-year-old on
Like,
there, and
what's he
like, oh
doing?
crap.
Why he got a mask on?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh no, no. But you know, hey,
Uh,
whatever. I want to try to bring that back because that's our bread and butter. I feel like, and I feel like a lot of
yes.
people still want to do it, but they're afraid to kind of like. It used to
Oh
be a thing.
yeah.
You'd like shoot a message and be like, we should collab. Like, I like your page. We could
Right. Let's do it.
promote my
Let's
page,
go.
promote yours. You know,
Yes. Yes.
but we'll see.
So we can
Maybe
get back on it. Get our trio back.
that's what we need. That's what we need. Yeah, absolutely. Bring back the ghost face shit.
Yes.
I love that. But yeah. So you like Stephen King.
I do.
You do. I know you like Pet
Hmm.
Cemetery a lot.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, do you read at all, or are you just a movie girl?
Okay, so I got back into reading. Okay, not even got back. I just started reading because I was like, I want to be,
You don't gotta lie on here, Lydia. It's cool. It's cool.
I thought
Just,
about it. I was like,
just
no, I never was a big reader.
yeah. I used to be a big reader, but you know, I
No,
get
I
it.
wanted to start it. So I go back and forth. Like I have a lot of physical copies that I want to get through, but somehow I
Sure,
always end up going to audiobooks, which is,
sure,
I put it on and
cool.
I get through a lot of books. I mean, lately I've just been reading kind of thrillers, but
Yeah,
yeah, I just like listen while I'm doing stuff, but I do have a lot of physical copies I want to get through. But
sure,
yeah.
sure. But I know we had done a collab on Pet Cemetery before,
Yeah.
and it feels like everything that he has a book of is made into a. We're
Oh
going through
yeah.
like the Stephen King thing again. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like
yes,
he
yes.
back in the 80s and 90s, all of his shit was being made, and now
Hmm.
all of his stuff is being remade again. And then they made some kind of crappy movies, and then they made some really
Of
big
course.
blockbusters. You know. But it's I like hearing someone, you know, like you love Stephen King because he's
Oh
from
yeah.
Maine. He's like my guy.
Yeah.
And so I love that. But um
Have you been to his house?
well, of course, yeah.
Okay.
I've never done the photo op, you know. It's
Right,
like
right,
I
right.
can't do that, you know. It's like I'm a
No.
townie, so like I
Yeah.
can't, you know. To me,
I know better. No.
I go look at that person taking their, you know,
Right, right.
their Stephen King photo in front of it. So he doesn't live there anymore, by the way.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he donated it. So he used to work at the
He
University of Maine.
donated?
Yeah, so he gave it to the University of Maine to have it as like their writing retreat.
Okay.
So anybody
That's
who's
so
like an
cool.
English major or creative writing
What?
can go there. And then so a lot of people don't know this, but he owned the house next door as well. And it was just
No, I didn't
it
know
was
that.
his library. He kept all of his books
Stop.
there. Yeah, so he
Stop. That is
donated
so
that as
cool.
well. And now he lives
Whoa.
in an undisclosed location in Maine that no
But he
one
is in Maine still.
he is. Yes. People
Okay.
have speculated that he's in Western Maine, so he's a little bit further
Okay.
west from Bangor, but and obviously he lives like in Florida and shit too, because he's like almost
Of
80 and
course.
wants to
Yeah.
be
It's
warm.
like
I can't imagine he's here during the winter, but yeah, he moved. He didn't want people to know where he lived. I'm sure he got sick of like
understandable.
the people
Yeah.
taking photos outside and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff, you
yeah.
know, it
No,
makes
for
sense.
sure.
He just wanted to be chill. But yeah, of course I've been there. And then they actually do a whole tour of like a Stephen King tour in Bangor
Mm.
where you go and they show
What?
you like the standpipe from it and like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
you know the Kenduskeag River that goes through and that the whole
Okay.
river's based on and the
So
sewer
put
system.
Maine on my to-go list.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
there's a lot of, it's not like, what's funny is like, it's not like a party place. So don't think you're going to come here and be like, yeah, the cities are cool and shit. Cause there's really not any cities, but you want some cool, like, like scenic views and
I was
Stephen
gonna
King
say it's
shit,
really
then
pretty
yeah.
though,
Oh, it's
right?
unbelievable.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel blessed sometimes when I shoot like I shoot dumb low budget short films and films, but like I have like the best fucking
Oh
scenes
yeah.
ever. Like the backdrop's unbelievable,
Well,
and it's like
your devils are we. Like this, it was
right,
gorgeous.
right,
It
yeah.
was
And it's
so
just like
pretty.
there's just woods everywhere, so it's like cool. I
Yeah,
could just
I
shoot
love
here and
that.
it looks awesome. I don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Which is really cool. I had one person hit me up actually. There's a scene with me and my uh one of my co-producers, J-Man, who starred in the movie as well. And we're
Mhm.
on like this balcony and like we're talking and like there's this
Yeah,
beautiful like
I
mountain
remember that.
view. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had people hit me up be like, how'd you do like the green screen so well? And I was like, no,
No, I honestly
that's
thought it
just
was at
there.
first too. I was like, is it
Yeah.
seriously that gorgeous?
It
Like,
really is. Yeah. Yeah. That
wow,
was in Western Maine at a place called Rangeley. And it's just a
that is so
lakes
cool.
region, mountain and lakes region. So it's like a lot of
Y'all could
people's.
just go there. Like,
Yeah, it's like an hour. It's probably like an hour and a half away from my house, and it's like
okay, not
so it's
bad.
like no, and it's like ski area, boating
Ooh.
area, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, yeah.
mountains and lakes everywhere, and it's really
I love that.
it's super cool. So I get lucky with that, but you know that's why I love being here.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna confess something to you that I feel
Uh-oh,
like I've
what is it?
confessed before, and I almost watched it today
What?
just to talk about it today. But
Okay,
I didn't have time because my brain was foggy this morning.
what is it?
So I've never seen Battle Royale. I've never seen Battle Royale.
Are you kidding me?
And so I really wanted to watch it because I was like, I feel like maybe you're into some
Yes,
foreign horror movies and stuff like
I
that.
am.
That's what I'm saying. So I was like, man, I should
Yes,
watch
some of
this.
my
And then
favorite.
my wife
Oh,
turned on fucking
Love is
Love
Blind.
is
You got
Blind,
caught.
and I got caught up. I get caught up in stupid shit like that. It's like I
It's all
now
good.
no, I love like weird shit. Like I love when there's
Yeah.
some tension. I don't know
Oh
why,
yeah.
especially
Yeah.
if it's
No, I understand.
reality.
Same.
Like I'm a big
Oh yeah.
Jersey Shore guy. I love Jersey Shore. I fucking
Me
love it. It's like
too.
my favorite thing. Any so I can't stop watching it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I'm into that kind of stuff. But I was gonna
Same.
watch it today, like, cause I know you rave about it. Every time you take a
Oh
photo, I
yeah.
see the poster in the background. I'm like,
It's in
man,
the back.
I really gotta watch that movie because I like my share
Yes.
of foreign horror movies. So
Hmm.
I wanted to get into that a little bit.
Okay.
So is it mostly, do you like a lot of Japanese stuff or Asian style movies, or is it,
Hmm.
do you go all types of
I
foreign
mean,
horror?
I go all over, but growing up, it was more like Japanese.
Yeah.
So Battle Royale, I saw when I was like, I think 13. My sister introduced me to it because
And
her
that's more
husband's
of like
really.
it's more of like a thriller suspense, right? But
It
like
is.
but like
It
bloody.
definitely is. So,
Yeah.
but I put it in the horror genre just because it's that good, you know.
Right,
But no,
right,
it's
right.
definitely thriller suspense. Um, yeah. So my sister's husband's really big into horror movies too, and he's like loves like anime and just everything like that. So they put me on, and I've been obsessed ever since.
Yeah.
And but I remember like in junior high and stuff, me and my neighbor would like always go to Blockbuster and rent like a lot of Japanese different horror movies. Like I remember we saw like the Suicide Club and what's it, Ichi the Killer, or
Yeah.
is it Ichi or Ichi the Bon, something like that. You know, like stuff like that. Like I used to watch when I was younger and stuff. So it was just stuff
Absolutely.
we found, you know. But that already was something that just stuck with me. But then as I got older, I started, you know, seeing like Korean and what was it? Dream House. That was from Hong Kong, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Or is it Dream House or Dream Home? I think it's Dream Home. That was really brutal.
Yeah, so I got into like
It,
the so I was a huge fan when I was younger, The Grudge. I loved The Grudge and The Ring.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
Ju-on and like
of
those movies
course.
I fucking loved.
Yes, yes.
And they're always more intense, right? Like they're just
Hmm.
like they feel well, I feel like subtitles nowadays are way more accepted than they were when we were growing up. It was like if a
I
movie had subtitles,
know.
no one wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And then
I
you
tell people now
realize,
that so you better watch it with the subtitles. It's
yeah,
better.
absolutely, absolutely. Well,
It's so much better.
it's so funny that like deterred us as people to be like, especially younger, you're like, I don't want to look
Yeah,
down
yeah.
at the fucking.
I know. Yeah.
But like there's such good stories. They make such good movies and then you get all
Hmm.
these American remakes and everybody's like, "Oh, that movie's so good." And it's like, "Well, yeah, but did you see the original?
Did
It's
you see
already
the
been
original?
it's already been done."
It's been
And like those
done.
movies will come out like Ju-on came out and then like The Grudge came out like not even like 4 years later. It was like fucking
Hmm.
like that. Same thing with The Ring. Ringu came out first. Like I own the special editions of Ringu and
Do
Ju-on and all
you?
those movies. Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's
I
so cool.
loved the originals. It was like
That's
basically I'm like this is the same movie. Like
right, right.
I saw the American versions first because they were such big hits.
Same.
Like
I think I did too.
yeah, when like the
Hmm.
PG-13 like horror was coming out, it was big when we were like early 2000s. Like PG-13 horror was
Right,
fucking
right.
massive. And I saw those movies first, but I was like I should check out like the originals. And like we went to
Hmm.
Hollywood Video, which was like our big uh
Yeah.
that was our big rental store here. We didn't really have Blockbusters, but
No.
We had Hollywood
Yeah, we had
Videos.
both.
Yeah.
We had both this one. Yeah.
And then we had like mom and pop ones and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
so we'd go there and then I'd see like the foreign versions and I'm like, let's check these out. And like I'd
Yeah.
watch them and I'd
You're
be
like,
like,
whoa.
this is the same movie. Like this is
You're
like
like, wait a minute.
I'm like, they made the same movie and
Yeah.
capitalized on it. It's so crazy. I was like, man, just because it's in a different language, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think they were probably made on a cheaper budget, you know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah. Oh yeah.
because then they got I literally think Americans were like, "Oh my God, we could make so much money because this story is so brilliant and no
And they don't
one's
know that.
watch yeah, no one's
Exactly.
watching it. No one cares. So like let's just throw $100 million into it and whatever." But
Well, that was me too. I saw the Uninvited before I saw
yes.
the other
Oh
sister,
wow.
and I didn't even know it was a thing. And then later on, I was like, "Wait, it's a remake." So then I watched. It. I'm
Oh
like, "This is
man.
better." I like
Who
both, but
who
still.
did The Uninvited?
Um,
It
what's her
was
name? Emily? You talking about who started it or who
no,
directed it?
who directed it?
Oh, I have no idea. I just know that Emily Girl
Oh
was in
yeah.
it.
Well, I
I
was
think that's
thinking
her
I
name.
didn't know if because Guillermo del Toro was like he did some great
Oh
fucking
yeah.
just foreign like Spanish horror and like all that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then he was so good that he got brought into doing like American movies and stuff. But like
Yeah, yeah.
I remember seeing like The Devil's Backbone. The Uninvited was great. I fucking loved
Oh
that movie.
yeah.
But he did
I
like
still love it. Yeah.
yeah, it's still a great movie.
Hmm.
And then I don't even know if I saw the other sister. Is that what it was
The other
called?
sister.
I don't even
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
saw that one. I
Oh,
own
it's
The Uninvited.
good.
But
You should definitely check
Guillermo
it
did
out.
like The Devil's Backbone. He did a couple other ones that were unfucking believable. And then I
Where's the
got
Devil's
turned
Backbone from?
uh I think it's Spanish.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
definitely.
Yeah, duh. That makes sense. I
Yeah, because
have
Guillermo,
to see it. I
obviously.
don't know if I've seen. Yeah, I don't
Oh
know if
man,
I've
The
seen
Devil's
that, but
Backbone is
I'll have to look it
unbelievable,
up.
dude.
Because I've heard of
Great,
it, but
great
yeah.
movie. It was
Okay.
2001. And it was Guillermo, obviously.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I don't know where it was shot, but I'm sure. But dude, it's a hardcore movie because I think it's like a yeah, it's like a war movie kind of. So it's like
Hmm.
it has to do with war and
Okay.
stuff. I haven't seen it in
Okay.
a really long time, but I watched it like 10 times in a row when I bought the movie because I got really into Guillermo del
You're like so
Toro and then
good.
like
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. Like no one's talking about him. What the fuck?"
So let's do it
Because
again. Let's go.
I saw the hell was it? Um he did he did like obviously the Pan's Labyrinth and stuff like that. That's obviously what we know him
I
from.
love that movie.
But he did a Victorian era movie. What the fuck was that movie called? That I really, really liked. What the hell was it called, man? Um, Crimson Peak. Crimson Peak. Oh, I
Oh,
love Crimson Peak because he has this
okay.
weird style of like the way his movies look, all kind of look the
Uh-huh,
same,
uh-huh.
and they're like fantasy style.
Right.
Yeah, so he did The Devil's Backbone, which so I started looking into his foreign films before he got like
Mm.
into the making American films
Since
and
I came
that
over
kind of
here.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And He did that, and then he did one called The Orphanage that was unbelievable as
Oh,
well.
that's one of my favorites. I
Yes.
love The Orphanage.
Oh, so
It's so
good.
underrated
It's so
too.
good. It's so
Oh my
good.
gosh, it's really good.
But you start to see that, like, oh my God, like these movies are fucking amazing.
Yes,
And if you just
yes.
give them a chance, the problem is we don't have a lot of like, I don't know, people don't talk about them over here a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
I know, I know.
so
I also love
it's
French
interesting.
horror. I love French
Yes.
horror because they are so good with their
So
gore.
Martyrs
So
is
good.
like,
Hmm.
oh my God, when I saw, so I randomly got gifted Martyrs by my best friend.
Oh, okay, okay.
he
Like you'll
was
like it.
like
Watch
he
it.
was like you gotta check this out because
I love that.
he's big on foreign because he likes the
Yeah.
extreme. He's like, dude, you gotta check this
Oh
shit
yeah.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, screw the story. He's like, look at what this
You should
is,
just
dude. He's
watch.
like, you're gonna close your eyes, bro. He's like, your eyes are gonna pop out of their head. So it was my birthday and he was like, got you this. And I
He's
opened
like,
it
I
and
got
I'm
this
like,
for you. You're
martyrs. And like
welcome. You're
he's
welcome.
like, yeah, check that shit out. And I'm like, okay. And
You're like,
so
what am I doing?
I didn't watch it for like 2 years maybe.
Oh,
Because
are you
like
kidding me?
because well they did like the American remake and everybody was like it's
Yes.
fucking horrible and like
Yeah. I
I
think
was
I
like
saw the remake first, actually.
really? So I didn't see the
Yeah.
remake because I saw this one and I was like whoa.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, this movie is the most insane movie I've ever seen in my life. Like,
Yes.
this is crazy.
Yes.
Even the story was good. I was like, it
Oh yeah.
starts, you think it's like this weird ghost movie, and then it's like this
It's like
crazy fucking torture movie, and you're like,
it
whoa.
goes way off the rails.
But the theme of it of like figuring out what's after this is such an
Hmm.
interesting
Hmm.
like the afterlife is such an interesting thing. They have that one scene in the
Oh yeah.
movie where like she finally gets to see like she gets a little peek under the curtain
Right, right.
and then she's like keep guessing and then just like boom and I'm like whoa.
What am I
Oh,
guessing? No. What just happened?
dude, that movie freaked me out. One of those movies that stays with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like you
yeah,
think
for
about it.
sure.
You don't do a
For
lot after
sure.
you watch that movie. You just kind of sit
You
on the
just sit
couch.
there and like,
Yeah,
okay,
I
what
just
just
can't.
happened?
It's
What did
so
I just
funny
watch?
to me that foreign movies are like that. I'm not sure why,
Oh
if it's just
yeah.
because they have way less. I'm sure their production, they can just get away with anything, really.
Oh
There's
yeah.
no like, so it makes you really think about like the creative restrictions on like American
Mm.
movies. You know what I mean?
I know. Well, so High Tension, I think, was like my first introduction to French
Sure.
horror.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, of course, like, so I was obsessed with that forever until I watched Inside. And then that's that's like one of
I
my
don't think I've
all-time
seen
favorite
that.
movies. You haven't
Inside?
seen Inside?
Hey, this is a safe space. This is a
It
safe
is a
space.
safe space. But
I'm
I'm saying, because
This
you
is
see
why I'm
my
talking to
poster
you
of Battle,
about this.
you say you see my poster of Battle Royale. Inside's right next to
Right
it.
next to it. See, I never
So
catch that one. I
yes,
never catch that one.
see,
Shit.
you should be like, I need to watch that too. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, it's so good. But it's funny because with French movies, what I like about it is they don't. A lot of times they don't have happy endings.
Right, right.
you, you know, like you think it's gonna go this way and it goes a total different direction. And most movies
Sure.
we watch, like in America, it's like, okay, oh,
They
we're
try to bring you
we
back. Yeah.
yes, we're good now,
Sure.
but no.
Yeah, that's super interesting about French movies because I feel like when I think about art, I think about France and French
Yeah,
people. It's like
yeah,
the
yeah,
creative mind is like French, I feel like.
right.
And
No, I see
that
that.
that's really interesting because and I think maybe it has to do with that creative restrictions thing where like the American industry is just like we don't want the people to see this type of movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people are going to
We
complain.
want to watch it
That's
though.
probably why people are going to complain.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe they just don't have those restrictions, so they're just like, yeah, I think you guys would be making these types of movies too, but
Hmm.
you just have to go through this whole process of like getting funding and like and a lot of
Yeah.
foreign movies are definitely don't have as much money poured into them, right? Like they're
Hmm.
way cheaper, they're cheaply made, let's be honest, but
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
not all of them, but like, they
Of
don't
course,
have 200
of course.
million dollar fucking budgets that are out of this world. You could do whatever you want.
Hmm.
Um, but you don't have the restriction, which is like it's such a weird like thing because I would just love to go to a different, yeah, I mean, you experienced it obviously of going to probably a different theater and just watching
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the weird German movie that came out and it's like,
Right.
oh, no one even knows about this. This is crazy, you know? So that's interesting. So when you were over there, did you just see, I mean, I'm sure the movies came out later, right? Like big blockbuster movies, like,
There was some that came out later and some that never
okay,
came.
yeah, that's crazy. That's weird.
I would be excited for a movie to come out, and then I'm like, where's it at? It's not playing. It's
Yeah,
not playing here. It's not playing there. And I would
sure.
get so sad. Even I think with Terrifier 2, it never came out over there. And everybody was talking about it.
Really?
So yeah, we had to wait for it to come, like on,
Like
on
streaming or
Prime or
whatever.
whatever it came on. Yeah. Ugh,
Wow.
so that happened a lot.
Because with that movie, I would have had to guess everybody was like, wow, they finally caught up to like doing the crazy shit, you know?
Right, right, right.
Which is so funny because horror movies, like obviously, like with like the Universal monster movies and all that stuff, America was like the star OGs of that, I feel like. But then like
Mhm. Mhm.
foreign movies just took it to a whole nother level, right? And you
Yeah.
don't get a lot of like weird foreign slasher movies or I mean maybe a few here and there, but like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's weird that there's these subgenres that like probably only kind of exist in America and then they're spread out to the masses, but like
Mhm.
then there's this weird like psychological horror and
Oh
gore
yeah.
porn or
Yeah.
whatever that is like in other countries that doesn't make it here in time, you know?
Yep,
So
yep.
that's interesting. I
Yeah,
remember
I felt like
I remember my buddy who lives in Europe or lives in England was like he got to see Late Night with the Devil like way before anybody
oh,
else because it got there for some reason
yeah.
way quicker and then it was here on streaming and all that kind of shit. But it's interesting how that works where it just doesn't have like this worldwide
Mhm.
event unless if it's this
Yeah.
huge like I think Nosferatu was like worldwide. It came out like
It
all at
came
the
out
same
around the same
time
time. Okay.
basically, yeah. Because it had to do with like, you know, it was based in Germany and
Right,
Transylvania
right.
and all this kind of stuff. So
Yes.
that's
I know
interesting.
sometimes it's hard, like when you're like, okay, when was this movie released? Oh, it's the birthday of this movie. You go and you're like,
Yeah.
USA released, or it's like it could be
Yes.
like a year later, or
Sure, sure.
so you're like,
Yeah, you
dang.
feel like you're gonna get it wrong. You're like, oh man,
What?
I gotta make sure.
Yes, yes,
I gotta do my research because I feel like I'm gonna get it
exactly.
wrong. But yeah, so I loved Nosferatu. It was like
Yes.
I'm talking, yeah, but like I loved it though.
You're
Like
like,
it's like
no, no, no,
I'm
for real.
obsessed with it. Like it's like my in my top 10 now, 100%.
Really?
Oh yeah.
It
Like
was
it
so beautifully made. So
and I was
beautifully
like trying to
made.
think of what I'm gonna push out and I was really sad when I was thinking about it because I have a specific top 10, right? Because I have
Yeah.
my top 10's like full of like movies that I think should be in there and then movies that are like my
Mhm.
comfort movies. So like it's all over the
Right.
place. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, it's fucking like The Exorcist is my number one, but then like
Oh, I
also,
already knew that.
yes, yes. That's my like number one. But then like Tremors is in there because I'm
Mhm.
just like I love
Oh,
Tremors, you know what I mean?
Trevor! Who doesn't?
But everybody would be
Yeah.
like, that's not a top 10 movie. And I was like, I didn't fucking say it was a top 10. I just said it's
This
my
is
top 10.
my top 10. Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
So I was like,
Uh,
what do I have to boot out? You know what I mean? Because I was
right,
thinking about
right.
my top 10. And I was like, I don't know what I can boot out because I, so I started like getting
That's
nostalgic about it.
hard.
I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I can. Because
You
like,
said my top 11.
yes, exactly. Yeah, top 11, top 11. Because like, what am I going to kick out? Like fucking Candyman? Like, I love Candyman.
No.
It's like my favorite,
Yeah,
fucking,
that's
one of my
definitely in
favorite
my top
movies.
two.
And it's
Yes.
like, oh my God, I don't know what to push out. So I had this internal beef with myself, and I finally pushed out Scream, to be honest,
Oh,
because
no, not
I
Scream!
know, I
Come
know. But the
on.
more I think about it, the more I'm just like, I don't know. I love Scream. I love Scream. I
Yeah,
really, really, really,
it's
really
definitely my
love
top
Scream.
10
And I
too.
love
Probably top
Ghostface and I
5.
love Scream. I love it, but I just feel like it's so in my face all the time. And I'm just like, okay, Scream's
Uh,
always going to be there. It's just
yeah,
always going to be in the horror
seriously.
culture. There's no reason for me to be like, it's in my top 10 and people are going
Yes.
to be
Well,
surprised. Like it's in everybody's top 10, you
I
know?
it's in everyone's top 10, even if you don't like horror movies.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just,
so,
it's a great fucking
yeah,
movie. The franchise is great. Everything about it is great.
yeah.
So like, I was just kind of
But I
like,
think that's why
eh,
it's it's definitely. I think it's my favorite franchise. Not
sure.
Ghostface isn't my favorite villain, but he's up there. And I feel
Yeah.
like Scream 2 is really nostalgic for me because that was the first horror movie I saw in theaters. I was like 9,
Right,
so
right.
it's like it's special to me, you know.
Yeah, that's a fun one to see. Do you remember when you saw it? You must remember
hmm
that vividly. Like
I do,
that
and
must have
it's
been
funny
so much
because
fun.
Yes, we went. Me and my best friend went, and her mom took us, and her mom sat somewhere else, and it's just so funny because walking in, obviously Scream 2 wasn't there yet, but
Right.
that's how the crowd felt. Obviously they weren't wearing Scream masks, but like
Right,
just
right,
how
right.
rowdy and stuff they were, that like I match it together. It's just so
That's
weird.
so
Like
funny because it's so in and of itself that like
yes.
they knew to put that in the
Mhm.
second movie. Like
Right,
let's because this is
right.
exactly what the, let's
Yes.
put it in there because we're kind of,
Hmm.
the whole franchise is kind of making fun of horror movies and it's very,
Exactly.
it's very meta, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's like
Yes,
which
100%.
is so cool about it and I love that. And then you start to, you have franchises now kind of do. Have you seen Hard Eyes yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So
I'm
it's
seeing mixed reviews.
it's Scream. It's Scream. Like
Stop, really?
yes, but not as good, obviously. Well,
Okay,
it's
yeah,
it's the producers of the new Screams as well. So
yeah.
like
Okay, okay,
you knew it was gonna be that. But it's
okay,
it's 90% romantic comedy
okay,
and then like 10% really bad slasher movie. And it's so fun. It's so fun.
okay.
But it's also very like forgettable. Like it's not like a
Oh,
movie that you're gonna be like, "Oh, fuck yeah." It's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
like My Bloody Valentine, which turned into
Of
like this
course.
cult classic, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it'll be a movie I always go back to and be like, I'm gonna pop. Like the whole time I was in the theater, like it's so romantic comedy. It's like the jokes are dumb and it's lovey-dovey and it's
Yeah, yeah.
lighthearted and the characters are like lovable, but like
Hmm.
it's so cringy at the same time that like every time they said something to each other, I was like, stupid. Like, but
But
I
is it?
but
It's
I
the first
loved
time
it.
meeting though, right? Or they've
Ye-
been together?
No, it's their first time meeting,
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
but it's just very like it's literally most of the movie when it's like rom-com style feels like a
Yeah.
Netflix TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Even the way it's
Yeah.
filmed, you're like, this isn't a movie. And then like then like the killer comes on and you're like, oh, now it's cinematic.
You're like, okay,
But
okay.
it's like really like over the top and dumb. And I was just like the whole time I'm in my head, I'm thinking, I'm watching the movie, I'm like, stupid movie.
You're like
I fucking
stupid. I love
hate that
it.
I like
No,
this. Yeah, I was like, this is so dumb. I was like, had my hands between my knees, and I was like, "Aw."
stop.
Yeah, I
You're like,
was like,
oh, so
"Stop it,
cute.
stop it." It was so
You're making me
cute.
blush.
But it was like funny. But you could just tell the way they acted the movie,
Hmm.
the way they portrayed the killer, the way they portrayed the couple. You were just like, "Oh, it's totally on purpose." It's not
Yeah, yeah,
they.
yeah.
It's like they stepped on set and the director was like, "Hey, everybody, listen. This is really dumb and stupid, and we love it, and let's just have fun." And then they're like,
Let's just
"Okay,
go with it. Let's
go."
go.
Action, you know? And it was so perfect. And I was like, that's hilarious. Like, this is a movie that I literally in 5 years might not even remember. And then someone will be
Right,
like,
right.
Hard Eyes. And I'll be like, oh my God, I haven't
You
watched
gotta
it in
watch it for
five
Valentine's
years.
Day, right?
Yeah, yeah, I haven't watched it in 5 years. I might as well check it out. It was one of those movies, But it was so cool. It was
Okay.
very Scream. It's very in and of itself. It's making fun of romantic comedies and but at the
Right,
same
right.
time you like love the characters and you don't want them to, like you're like, "Oh my God, they're cute? What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What? Don't do
You're
that
like, I
to
like
me." You know what I
them.
mean? Yeah. But at the same time, you don't care if like one of them were to die. You'd be like, one of them's
Right,
definitely
right.
probably gonna die. I'm not saying they do,
Right,
or I'm
right,
not saying they
right.
don't. I'm
I
just saying.
know. You're just saying.
But you're just like, if they
You're
do,
like,
I
it's
don't really
okay.
care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you're also kind of like, I hope it doesn't end bad because I just want to have this experience is great,
Right, right.
But yeah, it's one of those stupid movies that everybody will
Okay.
have the mask. You know what I mean? It's got the glowing hard eyes
Is
and
it? We
shit.
gotta
And
add it to the collection, you
it'll be a
know?
thing. It'll be a thing. They try to capitalize on that. It's just very much
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, by the way, we're making a lot of money on this movie.
So
But
here's
it's
this
so
mask. No.
it's me and my wife left and I was like, this is a romantic comedy. This isn't a horror. This is
It just had like a,
it just so happens to have a
little.
killer in the movie.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
so darn cute.
Hmm.
And it makes
Well,
me
I'm
so
excited to
mad.
watch it still.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great.
I'm trying to think what else came out? Was it? I haven't seen it either. Companion, did you see that?
No, I heard good things though.
Same, same.
I heard really good things. It didn't interest me all that much. It
Okay.
kind of well, honestly, the first time I saw it, I didn't realize that it was like a sex robot or whatever.
Mm. Well, I think they probably shouldn't have put that in the trailer
Yeah.
because I saw a review and I
So
think
see,
when you go into a movie, you
I'm
know.
so dumb, and I didn't even realize it was in the trailer. Like,
Oh, seriously?
I didn't think it was in the trailer. I didn't realize that. I thought she was just like a
Well,
person.
no, I think because I mean it has to be because I haven't seen the movie and I know that, so I don't know. But I feel
No,
like
it
someone I
definitely is.
remember,
It's that's the truth.
yeah,
And like
okay,
the
I
more I
remember seeing
thought
someone
about it,
saying
because
it.
she's like
You're like with the
the her,
fire.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
oh, maybe she took like a sedative, and
She's
she's like,
sweet.
she can't move, and she's like feeling the pain, but she can't
She's like,
react. You know?
fire.
I was
I'm
like,
on
oh,
fire.
that's interesting. But then
Yeah.
someone was like, no, it's a
No.
sex robot. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, but I think that someone said watching it, you go into it not knowing that if you haven't
sure,
seen the trailer and then
sure.
it's kind of like a reveal. So it's like, why would you put that in the trailer if that's what
Yeah,
you
they
want to do?
screw up
So
with trailers these days, like really bad.
I
They
know.
put up, they put in half the movie. Like, you remember when
Hmm.
Abigail came out?
Oh yeah.
So did you see Abigail?
Yeah, I did. I loved
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, but like, how good would that be if you didn't know she was a vampire?
Oh, I know.
Like, what
I
are you doing? What are
know.
you doing? Don't say
Because
that.
you don't know for a good minute in the movie. You know,
Correct.
she's just this innocent little girl,
But in the trailer,
and
she's
then
like,
she's like,
ah, and you're like, oh, okay, fucking
yes, yeah,
vampire. Like, what are you
vampire. Yeah.
doing? They did a similar thing with a vampire movie, which is why I love Nosferatu, by the way, because Nosferatu
Mhm.
brought vampires back to being putrid, stinking corpses. That was
Yes, yes.
somehow romantic and beautiful, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, of
like there was
course.
another one that came out of a vampire thing where this guy has to marry a girl and they're like at a dinner table and this whole it
Uh-huh.
looked really good. I'm like, what is this? And then they were like, oh yeah, we're vampire. The whole family's vampires. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
I was like, why would you tell me that? What are you doing?
what
And then
was
I
that?
never,
The Invitation?
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, right?
I
Yeah,
was, and
okay.
then I never saw it. I never saw the movie because I was like, oh, it's vampires. I
You're
get it.
like,
Like I'm
okay, that's
move
it.
on.
It's vampires. Yeah.
I was like, why would you tell me that in the movie? You know what I
I
mean? Or in the
know.
trailer. I was like, what are you
That's
doing?
so true. I was like a little bit surprised. And vampires are like my favorite too. So,
Oh, so good,
uh,
so good. I just love
yeah,
all the weird. I love all the OG monster stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, I
as you can see, I
know.
have my Nosferatu.
You got it. Where'd you get that from?
My wife got it for me for Christmas. I hadn't even
Where'd you get it
seen the
from?
movie yet. Hadn't even seen it.
She
She's
just
like,
knew.
she
She
goes,
knew.
I already know you're gonna fucking love this movie because it's like, she's like gothic
Ah,
horror and like heavy
yeah,
dial. She's like, I already know this movie's gonna be like all dialogue basically, and I know you're gonna love that.
yeah,
She's like,
yeah.
because you love good
Ah,
writing, so I already got you the shirt
mhm.
because I
That's
don't
so
even have.
sweet.
She's like, I don't even have. There's not even a bone in my body that thinks you're not
Mhm.
gonna like this movie. And then
And
she didn't
look,
see it
it's
with
in
me.
your top 10.
It
She
is.
didn't?
Nope, she couldn't go that day.
Oh,
I went with a bunch of my friends because we always go
okay, okay.
see we have a tradition of going to see Robert Eggers films together for some reason.
Oh, that's so cute. Look at y'all.
Well, because he's a New England filmmaker. He's from
Yeah, okay.
Massachusetts, so like
Oh, I
he's
didn't
from
know
New
that. That's
England,
so
yeah.
cool.
So
Yeah.
like think of The Witch and The Lighthouse, both
Hmm.
like The
Yeah.
Lighthouse is basically based in Maine. He just didn't say that it was
Oh,
in Maine, but it
okay.
basically
I
is.
haven't seen The Lighthouse.
Really?
No, I love The
Really
Witch though, but I haven't seen The Lighthouse.
not a good movie actually.
I mean, that's what I
Uh,
heard, and I think that's why I waited, and then I forgot about it, honestly. But
it's very it's psychological. So like there's some
mhm.
I honestly didn't love that it was filmed black and white. There's certain movies that I
Okay.
do like that. I didn't like the
Yes.
approach of
Yes.
that, but it's totally his thing, so it's fine.
Mhm.
It's definitely like a creative. It's like his creative, like I gotta get
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
this out of my head type of thing. And there
Right.
was parts I liked it about it, but it's very like there's like a mermaid and like her out and it's really weird.
What?
I don't know why I whispered that, but
No, you're
it's
like, no one's gonna hear me. I'm saying
it's really weird. It's a really weird thing. But like maybe I'll bleep it out so they don't know what I said. But everybody who's seen The
that
Lighthouse will
would
know
be
what I'm
funny.
talking about. But it's yeah, it's a very confusing movie and
Okay.
it's filmed like the dimensions are like it's filmed like you would watch it on an old box TV. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
five
Yeah.
four or whatever the
Oh
dimensions
yeah.
are of that old school style, like
Yeah.
made for TV. Remember the thing would come up and it would be like, oh, this format has been whatever to fit your screen. That's
Yes.
remember that?
Yes.
That's like how it
Yes.
was filmed, you know.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
actually Late Night with the Devil was filmed that way too, right?
Really? I don't even remember.
It was black bars on the sides, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
I've only seen it one time. I don't remember, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because it was meant to
okay.
be watched like you were watching it on
I
TV.
mean,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and I get that
Yeah.
too.
So it's cool.
Old
It's
like
a
70s
cool,
show,
it's a cool
like
artistic thing, you know,
okay, I get it. I
but
get it.
it's still, I mean, the lighthouse still has its place among, some you I'm just saying you put the witch, the lighthouse, the Northman, and Nosferatu
Mhm.
together, you're like, he doesn't really have too many holes in his
Right.
catalog so far, you know what I mean?
Okay.
People loved the lighthouse. People still say that that's his best movie, and I'm like, eh.
Really?
I think The
Okay.
Witch is his best movie, but
The Witch was really good.
The
I really
Witch is
liked The
unbelievable. The
Witch.
Witch is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Is
And
that in your
even though
top 10?
Nosferatu is in my top, actually, The Witch is in my
Okay.
top 10. I'm not kidding you.
Okay.
It really is. It really is in my top 10. So I'm
Okay.
kind of a
Okay.
fucking, I'm sorry. Like I'm
'Cause
on
I
this
feel like
guy's,
I've heard you talk about The Witch
I real
before, so
well, because his movies play out like you could see it in a like on Broadway. I feel like the
I love
dialogue
that.
is so good and the
Yeah.
history of it is accurate, you know. So like
Mhm.
being someone from New England with The Witch, it was like, oh my God, it's historically accurate. Like they're not per se in Salem, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
you know what I mean. It's in the
No, yeah.
1600. It's actually before the Salem witch trials, which is cool. It's like,
Ah,
oh, this. So it brings this lore to it that you're like, oh, this might have
right.
feels more real, you know. So I like that
No, I
about his
get
movies
that.
that he does, and it's all like natural light.
hmm
Like if you when you
That's
saw
why I
Nos,
love the lighting.
oh my God, it's
Yes.
so cool. It's like you can
Yes.
almost see the graininess, and you're like, wow, this is
Oh,
great. You don't have these. You could tell they're not just like have these big stage
right. The
lights,
big.
and so everything's
Yes.
wicked bright and colorful. You know, it's actually
Right. Right.
all his movies are very dark and black and white, but not dull. That's the key. They're
Right.
not dull,
No. Yes.
which is
Yes.
cool.
And
Which is
that's
cool.
what when we went. Me and my daughter went to see Nosferatu too in the
Really,
theaters,
that's okay. We're gonna
and
talk about that after, but keep going.
yeah, yeah. When we were sitting there, I just kept saying to her, "This is so it's
It really is.
just everything." And I was so excited to watch it too because in one of my film classes I had to watch the one from was it 1922? Is it
Yeah,
22?
yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah,
so.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
so
1922.
when I saw this was coming out, I was like, this is so cool because I got
Yes.
to like see that and
Oh my
you
God, the
know
original's so funny.
mm,
It's so funny. Oh, like obviously back in the day, if you were in the 20s, you'd be like,
oh
"Oh, this is
yeah, you're like
terrifying."
what is this? What's this shadow
People
coming
actually thought like he was a vampire. Like,
in?
because you're not too far away from the lore of like
Yeah.
vampires, you know what I mean? You're talking like
Hmm.
1850, like people were writing about
Right.
vampires still. So
Yes.
you're like 70 years away. You're like, "Oh, geez, this guy might
You're
be."
like, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah, which you can appreciate, right? It's like not
Oh
scary
yeah.
to you, but you're like, there's that scene, I don't know if you remember, but like when he first lands in London and he's like carrying he's literally carrying his coffin. He's like, and he like looks around and then he like runs away. You're like, the dude is carrying. What are you talking? You could tell it's just like this really, it's probably made of
You're
like
like, who's
foam
this
or
kid?
something.
Right.
Just carrying it. You're like, oh my God. It's so funny.
He's like, I need a place to sleep.
Yeah, it's like, dude, this guy could just carry a coffin. That thing weighs like 500 pounds, but he's
Right.
just like, woo. But still
Oh
such a
man.
great like, silent film era, very weird era, but
Yes,
like
yes.
you could tell that it was just like really well made and like
You
the
can just
guy
appreciate it,
absolutely. But then like but that's
hmm
what's cool about it is those types of movies need a retelling. Like
Yes.
not every movie needs a remake, but something like that needs a remake, right?
Like the faculty. I'm so mad.
Oh,
I'm so mad about it.
that's getting a remake, right?
Yes, I'm so mad about
Horrible
it.
idea. Horrible idea.
I'm so mad.
That movie's
It's
perfect. Yeah,
perfect.
unbelievable movie.
I get tired of remakes, but when I heard this one, I was
Yeah,
like
that's
honestly pissed.
sure.
I was like, why? Why?
So someone said to me, and this makes me appreciate remakes a little more,
hmm
although I can understand the being furious about the faculty
Oh
because
yeah.
that wasn't like that long ago, but like
Exactly.
but
I
it isn't for us, you know what I mean?
know.
It's for the younger generation. It's for to introduce them to that type of horror that like may never be made again, you know what I
They should
mean?
just put it back in the theaters.
I know, it's true. It's true. But that generation isn't going to the theaters, right?
I
Like
know. Oh, that's so true. I know.
but it's like obviously it's on streaming and stuff, but it's like they don't,
Yeah.
and that's why all these collectors, like that's why as collectors you see them these companies putting out all this new artwork for older films
Right.
because they want
Yeah.
to entice younger people to give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And now it's cool to be like nostalgic and like those things. So it
Right.
works in our favor as horror fans for like kids
Hmm.
checking out that kind of stuff. But before we get it, I want to talk about your kids here in a second, but
Hmm.
I want to see if I can bring this down really quick, just so you can see it, just so you know.
What you got? Wait, my face is. Stop it. Where'd you get that from?
He's 6'3".
Stop.
He's huge.
Stop
It's the
it. Where'd
Hulk
you get
cutout.
that
I
from?
bought it from the film production company.
Stop. That is so dope.
Yes, yes. So Focus Features, who
That is
produced the
awesome.
movie, is selling it on their website for so with shipping
That's
it's
amazing.
$75.
Worth it.
And
Worth
I was
it.
like, totally worth it.
You're like,
So
I'm
it's
getting
like
this.
legit huge. It's like I'm 6'2". This thing's so it's like an inch taller than I am. It's massive.
They are besties. Yeah, put your arm around
So I have it in my right now. I haven't since we moved into this house. I haven't built my new
them.
film studio yet.
Okay.
Um, so I've kind of been using our spare bedroom as like my
Yeah.
podcast thing until I build my whole new studio.
Oh, I
So
can't
I
wait to
have
see
it
when
I
you
have it
get it all
stored and
done.
I know it's gonna be sick. We're building it in our basement, so I gotta literally build it from scratch. I
Oh,
have to put walls
oh,
in and like all this kind of stuff.
oh, that's
So
gonna be so cool though.
yeah,
That's so
it's gonna take
cool.
a
I'm
while and
jealous.
cost some money. So we're hoping we
Yeah,
can get
for
it
sure.
done. We're hoping we can get it done this summer, and then I'm gonna have like because I'm starting to do like reaction videos now and
Mhm.
like movie reactions and stuff like this. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a couch
Oh, that's
down
gonna be
there with
so
a whole
cool.
TV and like really
Heck
cool stuff.
yeah.
But I have this sitting in the spare bedroom, and then my son,
He's waiting.
because my wife was like, "You can't let Jack see that. Like he's
Right,
gonna
right, right.
freak out." And he opens the door one day, and I didn't see it happen, but he ran to my wife and he was like, "Mommy, mommy, quick, quick!" And he ran in and he just
Oh.
pointed at him and he was like, "Who's that?" My wife just looks at me. She's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
You said seriously, you had one job, John. One job.
I was like, I'm so sorry, but so I had to be like, he's your friend, and like I had to explain to him because he's very
He
into.
doesn't look
He
friendly.
likes. He's only 4 years old, but he likes monsters. So
Yeah.
the one
Mm.
stuffed animal he sleeps with is a werewolf. He sleeps with a
Oh,
werewolf.
I love that.
He sleeps with a Frankenstein. He has a Frankenstein like teddy
That is so
thing or
cute.
whatever. But this one kind of freaked him out. I was like, yeah, he's a little freaky,
Understandable.
and he's so
Understandable.
tall that it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. But
No, we had a really big clown when we lived in Turkey. We hosted a Halloween party and I had
yeah.
balloons, bloody balloons everywhere, but we had this really big clown cardboard and my son was freaking out. He did not like
Oh
it. And at that time he
no.
was like 3 too. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know
Clowns.
what happened to it. When I moved, I was like, where'd my cardboard go?
Yeah. Your son probably got rid of it. He was like,
I know he probably did. Like,
let me get this thing out of here. He's like, this thing
like him in
even
his coffin.
later, yeah, even later in life, he was probably like, you know what? Like, I like horror stuff now, but like
Yeah.
this thing
He's like,
traumatized me as a kid. Let me get this
yeah,
thing out of here.
about that. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
anyway, to your kids, I mean, your kids are
Yeah.
like all through your Instagram and like your TikTok. I mean, they seem to be pretty big
Hmm.
horror fans.
Yes, and I feel very blessed because, I was like, I'm gonna start them young. My dad started me young too,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got into horror. Um, and still to this day, they're still loving it and going strong with me. And if I'm like, hey, you wanna do this? They're like, yeah. Like I don't force them to do anything, obviously. I'm like,
Right, sure.
it's up to you. If you wanna be on my page, if you don't, that's fine. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's go. So
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like
mhm.
I've almost feel like I've seen them grow now because
I know it's
you
been
always do
some years
your
now.
you always do your first day of school pictures and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's
Hmm.
Lydia's fucking kids.
But they're getting so big.
But even when they were, 5 years ago, I think is when I
I
got on
know.
Instagram, like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even
Hmm.
longer now. I don't know. I can't remember. But since I started following you, like they were like
Yeah.
kids. They were like
I
small.
know.
So it's
I
cool
know.
that
My
they've kind
daughter's
of,
freaking 16. She'll be 17 this year. It's
that's
crazy.
crazy,
Like,
man.
what the
Wow.
heck?
So that must have been a pretty weird move for you when you left Germany because
Oh yeah.
that was
Well,
like
that's
their childhood years, right?
exactly. That's
Yeah,
yeah, because they were so young to know the other places really. So
sure.
they really only remember Germany and like it
Yeah.
was we were all sad to leave, but they're like, that's my home. Like, if people
Wow.
ask, they're like, I don't know, am I from Germany? That's what they say. Because I'm like, I don't know, we've been all over.
Right.
Like, y'all aren't really from anywhere, but that's the
Right.
longest place they've lived. So,
What a weird thing though to be like, yeah,
hmm,
wow, interesting.
yeah,
But so
it's
they're
crazy.
super, so they seem like they love horror movies.
They do. My daughter is
Super
obsessed
cool.
with Scream. She loves
Yeah.
Terrifier. My
So did you
son,
start them young?
I did. So I
Like too
started
young?
them.
Too young?
Probably so. No. Well, I think I was too young. So I think my
Yeah,
dad
me too.
started me like when I was like 5.
Me too.
And like I literally was watching like Faces of Death like at the
Yeah,
age of
I think it's
5.
a yeah, I think it's a rite of passage, you know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah,
of like you
yeah.
just get traumatized right off the bat and you're like
Right.
as a
Really
parent you're
so.
like, "Well, I turned out all right."
Exactly.
So,
I think, and
okay.
I'm a very kind person, so
Right.
I'm,
So,
you know, yeah,
yeah,
I
you
think,
don't
but I think
murder
they
a
were
bunch of
like,
people, so you're
no,
cool. Like it's
exactly,
fine.
I'm good. I don't even like to like seriously, like if I have like spiders or something, I'll take them outside. Like I
That's what
don't
I
kill
do.
them.
That's what I
Really
do.
stop it.
I can't wait to tell my wife I don't kill
See?
spiders. I bring them outside. So I have a name for
Yes.
them. This might be cheesy, but I call him Hector the Protector. That's
Well, because they're very beneficial, so
exactly. And I think it's bad
that's what,
karma. I think it's
yeah.
bad juju to kill him.
Yeah, so
And
like I'll
my
remember
wife
that.
hates them, but I will not kill one of them. So that's funny.
Say, well, you're taking them away, and they're still
Yes.
not going to bother
It's not
you,
their fault. They're
so
just in the wrong
no.
place at the wrong time.
I know. Or maybe they were cold. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, they look creepy as shit, I'll be honest, but
Yeah, yeah. That's all
it's all
good.
right.
Well, yeah. But yeah, it's I think they were like 7 and 9. They're like
Yeah.
2.5 years apart. I think that was around the age. And I started really small, like obviously like little monsters and stuff like
Sure.
that. And then I think the first movie was Cujo. I let them
Ooh,
watch Cujo, yeah. And
that's a
then I
tough
let them
one.
watch it was. I said my sister, my daughter was
That's a
really
tough
scared.
one, yeah.
And then I did Pet Cemetery.
Ooh. You just started with
My
the animals right in, huh?
I know. And
Wow.
that when my daughter when they watched Pet Cemetery, my daughter cried.
Yeah.
But then after
Yeah.
that, she's like, I'm ready, let's go again. So I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, there's something that like sparks it. It's like a weird thing where you don't want to look
Hmm.
away or you want to look away
Yeah,
but you don't. You know what I mean?
but you don't.
It's
Yeah.
intriguing. So I was the same way
Hmm.
like with so my dad showed me well there was a couple different people but like my dad loved Tremors. He loved Tales from the
Hmm.
Crypt and like all this kind of stuff. I
Yes.
watched Blair Witch with him for the first time, all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So I got into it really young. It had nightmares, of course. I fucking
Of course.
but it was like I couldn't look away. I was like, I want
Yeah.
more of that feeling. For some odd reason, I wanted more of that
Hmm.
feeling, you know? So it's
Yeah.
interesting that it kind of traumatizes you and then like sets you on this path of like, I just want to watch all of
I
it.
love it. I love
And then
it.
it's like
Yes.
other genres don't like comedy's the closest that'll be like,
Hmm.
I love comedy as well, but
Oh yeah.
there's oddly enough, there's movies that like there's movie genres I'm not into because it's doesn't hit the same nerve.
Hmm.
It's like action
Hmm.
movies don't get me that much for some reason. Like
Okay.
it's really weird. It's comedy and horror is like my thing, and then drama, of
Yeah. I love
course. There's some
comedy
great
too.
movies,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
there's other movies that I'm just like, oh, I don't see until I became like more obsessed with like the what goes into making films and like the
Yes.
writing of films. I wasn't like
That's
into those
okay.
other movies. I was always my friend in high school that was like, "You guys want to go to the movies?" I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Let's go see
Hmm.
fucking The Village or like the
Yeah.
something weird that came out." And everybody's like, "Why do we gotta fucking see a horror movie again?" And I'm like,
Again?
because they're the best." Like let's.
They're like, why wouldn't
So I
you?
would just go
Right.
see like I think I saw the. I'm not kidding you when I say I think I saw The Grudge like 10 times in theaters. Like
Are you
I just
serious?
kept going back. I couldn't get enough. And I
Stop.
did that with every
I
movie. The
love that.
Ring. I did that with all of like M. Night Shyamalan's movies. I did that with any
Hmm.
movie I could go see that was horror. I'd go see it. I'd go see it over and over and over again. It
See,
was
that
so
was
weird.
when my daughter really likes movies. She does that too. And Scream was one of the first movies after those movies. Still to this day, it's her favorite. But I remember she would just watch it over and over. And then one
Yeah.
day I was in my room and I heard it, and I was like, Jordan, are you watching Scream again? She's like, No, I'm watching Scream too. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Okay, sorry.
sorry.
That's so funny. Yeah, there's just some
Yeah.
weird level of you get that level of dopamine or whatever your
Oh
serotonin
yeah.
floods when you see that shit. And I think it comes
Hmm.
from I think all horror fans are like nostalgic in some manner.
Oh
Like they have
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a weird comfort feeling to that type of stuff that
No, for
it's
sure.
hard to identify. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
like,
yeah. I don't know. I just do.
yeah, well, I think a lot of it comes from like, being a kid, obviously, but like
Mhm.
I think we did live in the best era of like, and it just happens to be horror movies. Maybe it could have
Oh
been
yeah.
any type of genre, but that feeling of going to get a movie and your friends sleeping
Ugh,
over and you watch it
that
with
was the
them.
best.
It
Like
was
I
unbelievable.
feel
And
like
like I think
it's
about it
not
all
like
the
that
time.
nowadays, I don't think. Like the
No.
sleepovers and
So
watching
like,
movies,
yeah, I
like
watch those old movies and I think about like not just the movie, but I think about everything that was going on
hmm.
around me when I watched that movie.
Yeah.
So like I get these it's so bad for me, but I follow those like 90s nostalgia and early 2000s nostalgia
Oh
pages
yeah.
that have
Yeah, yeah.
the songs that just like literally make me cry. And I'm like, "Oh
Hmm.
my God.
It brings you back.
Oh, I can't even handle it. It's horrible." It's like the caption's like you woke up in 99 and everything was a dream and it's like that weird
Right.
slow fucking song and you're like, "Oh, I want to
You're like,
go
what?
back." It's horrible.
I
It's horrible.
know.
And so I
Good
think,
times for real.
but it's weird that like your kids, because I don't think I had that as much where I don't think my maybe a little bit here and there, but like
Hmm.
I was seeing newer movies still when they came out that kind of got there was a few
Okay.
like Child's Play and a few that
Of
are
course.
Children of the Corn, uh Silence of the Lambs, like those movies I saw when I was really young and they were older
Hmm.
movies, but I kind of saw them on accident. So it
Yeah.
was like I was like, ooh. And like Tales from the Crypt and Tremors, but Tremors was like 1990 something, so
Right, right.
it wasn't that old. But
Hmm.
now your kids' generation are getting like your movies and they're more
Hmm.
obsessed with your movies.
Yeah.
And I think there's
I make
something to,
sure
I think
I'm
there's
like
something, but I think
that's
there's
true.
something to that. Like, I think there's something to, like, I have a niece that's like obsessed with older music. Like,
Mhm.
my brother's music is what she likes.
Okay.
And it's not like she's not exposed to all the other music. She can
Right.
listen to whatever she
Right.
wants, but there's something to that generation of
Hmm.
media, whatever it is like way more enticing than anything that's coming out now or anything that came out way before us. It's the nostalgic, the 90s and early 2000s is the nostalgic
Oh
era.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's weird. I never hear my parents talk about or like my mom talk about when she doesn't talk about when she was a kid very often.
Hmm.
And I feel
Yeah,
like
I don't think my parents really do that much
they
either.
don't. It's really weird. They don't talk
Mm-mm.
about their
Mm.
music as much. They don't talk like I'm
Right.
gonna be that guy. When I'm
Oh
50, 60
yeah.
years old, I'll be like,
Yeah.
I remember when. And it's going to be about fucking something stupid, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
they're going to be like,
Well, even like the sorry.
my son's going to be like, Dad, you've talked about that fucking weird smell that you remember from fucking
Right.
30
He's like,
years
I already
ago, you know?
know. I already
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Well, it's
exactly.
like all the old school music that I love is because of my dad, but it's not like he talked about it. It's just I remember driving in the car with him, and my dad
Right,
likes to jam out. He, has so many records from.
right.
He was born in '54, so records
Mm,
from teenage years on, like on and on. So just me hearing throughout the house or driving and stuff, it's like I love
yeah,
his music because of him. But it's not like he was like, hey, listen to this, But
right.
with my kids, I'm like, oh, you need to watch this. Like we talked about the Palpatine. They love the Palpatine. I remember even having them watch The Craft one day, and I was like, my son probably won't like care for it that much. No, he loved it.
Loved it.
It's like, and I love that.
Yeah, there's something about it. And I think it's because like the whole CGI thing's tough, right?
Yeah, yes.
Like you see CGI, it just doesn't look. Once you've seen practical
Hmm.
effects, the CGI actually looks less real, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's certain movies that it looks okay, but like it looks less real for some reason.
Sometimes
So
like it's too much.
it'll be interesting. You'll have to let me know what your kids think of the new faculty when it comes out.
Mhm. Oh, sorry, I'm just like,
Just
no, we're gonna watch it though. We will
it's
watch
depressing. Well, you got it, right?
it.
You got
It
to check it
is,
out.
yes. You
But I mean,
cannot
obviously
not.
we already know the cast will not be as good, obviously.
No, they
And
have
like
some
Robert
good
Rodriguez and
actors
those
up in
people are
there.
just you can't beat that. So like,
No.
but it'll be interesting to see if they're like if you're just like I refuse to like this movie
Right,
But if
right.
they're like, oh, I kind of like this version just because
Hmm.
maybe they relate to the characters a little more, maybe,
Right.
maybe not, but still, it'll be interesting to see if they do it justice on that aspect. Because, like I said, it's not being made for me and you, it's being made for them, you
Right.
know?
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
interesting. That's
Well,
interesting.
there's some like my son like the new Child's Play. I didn't, but he did.
Yeah.
You know.
I liked a
So
couple parts of it. I liked when he said
yeah.
for Tupac. That was hilarious. That was very funny.
I don't
I res
remember that.
I respect. He goes
That's
for
funny.
two. This is for Tupac. It's
I
so
love
good.
that.
I was like, that's awesome.
I mean, they had some good,
I mean,
shows in there
he didn't
too,
look good
but
at all. He looked horrible because it's
no.
CGI, right? Like that didn't look
Right.
real at all. I mean, there
Right.
was a couple things I liked about it. There was like it was Luke Skywalker that voiced him, you know what I mean, which is really cool. And then, there was a couple other things I liked, but it'll never beat Child's Play, like
Right. And I think
ever.
too, maybe because he wasn't Chucky, and I think it was
Yeah.
Sledgehammer Horror that said it. I think he was saying if they built off of just Buddy, it would probably be different. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I would like appreciate it more if it just wasn't. It was different. It was connected. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't connected to him. I don't know, but
Yeah, sure. Like if it was just the doll that went crazy
hmm
and sure.
right, right,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird one-off kind of spin-off that they did that you didn't really expect, you know what I mean? But
right.
and then it had nothing to do with because here's the weird thing
Mm-mm.
is um the writer and director of Child's Play is still making those movies. Like the show just came out. Like it's not
Yeah.
like it's not relevant still. So it was a
Right, right. It's
weird
like
thing to
years
remake.
later, like yeah,
Right. It's like
exactly.
we literally just got 2 or 3 seasons of a new Chucky series, and like we've got 3 new movies within the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got
yeah.
like the Cult of Chucky, Curse of
The
Chucky, like
curse,
those,
yeah.
yeah, all those types of movies, and it's the same director and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's not like it wasn't relevant. It wasn't you
Right.
weren't making this big move to like bring it back a franchise. The franchise has been
Hmm.
going on for fucking
Exactly.
25, 35
Saying
years,
it hasn't gone anywhere.
which is interesting. So it's weird that they got the rights to it, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah,
Like, did
yeah.
he give up the rights, or was it a technically a production company that owned the rights to it? You know what I mean?
But it's like
Because
when.
he's been calling all of his stuff Chucky, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And not Child's Play.
Right.
So I'm wondering if
So
the production company owned the rights to Child's Play.
right. That I mean that would
Interesting.
make sense, but it's just crazy. Because when did that come out? Like 2019, maybe around that time. So
I think earlier than that.
okay, so a bit earlier, but then the series came out
Oh, it just ended.
years
It
like
like
yeah.
just ended.
So
Yeah.
that's what yeah, it's weird.
Let's see that. Let's see Child's Play. New one.
New
2019, you
childhood.
crushed it.
Oh,
What the?
good.
I'm so mad I got it wrong.
I'm
So
usually not
mad.
good with dates either. So.
So mad. But yeah, like weird. I also forget that
Yeah.
2019 was like 6 years ago.
You felt like it was like yesterday, right? Or last year?
Correct.
Yes.
I forget.
Oh,
So that's funny. But
yeah.
yeah, I
I
mean,
did the same.
there's stuff like that that's kind of odd where like the production company has the rights to it and they want to make a little
Mhm.
money. So like you reintroduce the name, comes back out,
Right.
and then it doesn't do well. It never does well. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, is the Faculty coming out? Is it a streaming movie or is it coming out?
I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
interesting.
I just saw their
So I wonder if it'll be like
recent
a
news.
Netflix original or Hulu
That'll make me
original
even
or
more
whatever.
mad.
Right. Very
Like,
few
you
of
know
those movies
what?
do
I'm
great.
done. Yeah.
Especially like a remake of something being on a streaming
Right.
service is weird and
Right.
not coming out in theaters.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's odd.
Uh,
Ugh.
I think the last one that came to streaming that was part of a franchise or whatever. That was pretty good. I liked the Hellraiser that came out. I think that was pretty good.
Actually, I
And that went
really
straight to
liked that
streaming.
my
Yeah.
I really liked that movie, and a lot of
I
people
had my
didn't like
Hellraiser
it.
shirt
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So Hellraiser used to be in my top 10.
on. Oh,
Hellraiser got kicked out by
who bumped it?
the witch. The witch kicked it
Okay.
out. The
Okay.
witch kicked it out, which was tough. I love Hellraiser, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hellraiser is very nostalgic for me as well.
I love that
I
first movie,
I
man.
was watching that too young because I didn't see
Oh,
the first one first. I saw and I was young, but I don't even remember which one it was. It was the one where they were in the room and there was a big old I don't even know what it was, like a block or something, like
hmm.
came out and they were like doing the thing, you know. So I'm like, I shouldn't have been watching that. But that was the first one I saw.
Is that the one where they actually show them go to hell? Kind of like
I think so. I think
they,
so.
because then the hell, because the guy that played Pinhead was different.
Yeah. I felt I have to look. There's so many and I get them mixed up in the order. I have all of them. I don't even have them in the right order, I don't think.
Yeah, well, there was like Hellraiser, Hellseeker, there was Judgment, there
Yes.
was like all these different movies, and I get them all mixed
Yeah.
up because I didn't really love
Same.
any of them except for that first one.
Right. Right. And I
That
think when
first
I
one was
watched them
unbelievable.
all, I've never like watched them in order. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I do Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean that
I'll be
Hellraiser is just
honest,
like, oh.
I don't know if any, I don't know if anybody has. I don't know if anybody's
You're
watched
like,
the
oh, it's
Hellraisers.
Pinhead.
I don't know if anybody is like, yeah, we're having a Hellraiser
Yeah.
marathon today. Like it's a
Right.
tough one.
I just feel like one and two you can watch together, and
Yes,
then the rest
yes.
kind of just.
But that first one, I mean, the reverse like claymation they did with
It's
like,
so good.
oh my
Yes.
God, like, or when
So
you remember when they're carrying the couch up the stairs and he catches the nail and it like rips his, oh, it's when they're first moving into the house. It's like at the
okay.
beginning of the movie. They're moving into the house and
Hmm.
they're carrying like a couch or a piece of furniture up the stairs in the first one.
Uh-huh.
And his like right here catches a nail and it's still to this and it like he like
I
you
don't remember
oh it's horrible.
that.
it's
You know
it's
I'm
hor
traumatized.
it's horrible. It literally catches a nail and you see it like move
Oh,
and blood just starts going everywhere and I'm like, oh
that's
my
so
God, it's
good.
like it's my
It's
worst
so
fear
good.
now. It's a fear that like I didn't know I had. So
Right,
now
right.
because you forget how many times you like especially like you've moved a
You're
lot, you know what I mean?
moving, yeah.
You're carrying
Hmm.
a piece of furniture and the door's a little thin. Like the doorway is a
Hmm.
little thin and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to catch my hand.
You're like, I give up. Nope.
You're like, oh my man, what if there was a nail there? I'm
Oh
telling
my
you, go back
gosh.
and watch
I,
that.
I, I will. I will go
Oh,
back.
it creeps me. It gives me the willies, dude, which is a
That is so funny.
totally outdated term, but it gives me the
But it's
willies.
funny too because it's like out of everything in the movie, that's what got you.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously the claymation and shit is
Mhm.
crazy, right?
Yeah, I
Like
love it.
the
I love it.
reverse, like when he's in the attic and he starts,
Hmm.
you could tell they had it like that, and then they like it like broke apart, and then they just reversed the footage. You know what I mean? He like
Oh,
comes out of the ground and like
oh my
forms. You know what I mean?
god.
It's so good, but like they did it in reverse. If you watch the footage,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
had him like built and then they just melted
Right.
him and then put the
Oh, that's so
footage in
good.
reverse, which is brilliant. It looks unbelievable. So like his skin is like coming off and then like going back onto his face. You know what I
Oh
mean? I was
my
like, oh my God, that's a
god.
brilliant way. I think they did the same thing in Evil Dead 2 when he like melts.
Hmm.
Like the thing melts and like all the
Yeah, yeah,
bugs are
yeah.
coming out and shit, you know? Same thing, reverse. You just
Yeah, that's really
reverse
smart
it.
to do it that way.
Oh,
That's
if you could do it
awesome.
right and it doesn't look too, as long as something doesn't like fall on the ground and then come back onto them, then you could tell, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
like they didn't do
yeah,
that. If it's just like hanging off them and then like you're like, wow, that looks really good.
yeah. Oh,
But yeah, the new one
there's
was
so many
good.
good things. Yeah,
The
it
new
was
one was really good, and I
good.
liked
Hmm.
that she was female.
Right.
She was female. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
that, but
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I think that's how that particular Cenobite was in the book when
Hmm.
Clive Barker.
Yeah, and I
I
think
think
and
it was she was female,
yeah.
like,
See, and the thing is, I
or
have
she
the
was
books too.
genderless. Maybe
Yeah,
is the right
maybe.
word.
I'm not even sure,
I
but
can't
I do.
remember.
I have the books, but I've never read them yet. I haven't read them yet. Um, but I do remember when they were showing, like, promoting it. People were talking about like, oh my gosh, and they're like, no, this is how the book actually was.
Yeah, so
Like,
they got all offended because it wasn't a guy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly,
so
of course.
dumb. It's like, why don't you just like, you know what? If you don't
But
like it, don't watch the movie. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
exactly. It's
People get
okay.
all they get all gatekeepy and shit.
Right,
I
right,
loved that. I thought she
exactly.
was like more sinister. I thought she
Yeah,
looked unbelievable. Like her
yes,
makeup looked
they
great.
did amazing.
And then when you
Yes.
see the behind the scenes of like what the actor looks like, she's like gorgeous and like you're like, what
Hmm.
the fuck? That's
So
so
you
cool.
killed that.
Yeah, killed that shit. It was great.
I love it.
And like the box itself was way more involved, like the cube, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the story was way more involved. And Clive Barker, I mean, loved it. Like that was his, not that he said that, but like that was his
Right,
version
right.
of the story,
This
you
is
know what I
what
mean?
he actually, put
Because
down.
Clive was legit horror writer, like
Mm-hmm.
because you know Candyman, that was his as well, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I do.
So
And it's funny because I didn't know that for a good amount of time, and when I found out, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I love it. But there's I forgot what book it is because I have a few of his books.
mhm.
But there's I guess out of his books, there's these figures. Have you seen? I don't know. I wish I knew which book it was, but I saw someone on TikTok and they collect the figures, and
Yeah.
I was like, I need to read the books now because I want to collect those too. They are like way like more than like Pinhead and the Chatter and all this stuff. Like brutal. Like just I can't explain what they look like. You just have to. I have to find it. I'll tell you.
Well, what
But
a weird,
oh
like
my gosh,
you
it's
gotta
so
be,
cool.
there's gonna be something missing up here when you're like the Chatter's a crazy character. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
Pinhead's wild too, but like you could think of that. The
Right.
Chatter, like
But
he's off the
no.
damn
Yes.
crazy.
One of my
But
favorites.
what a weird thing to come up with, you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
he was a great writer. Yeah, I think Candyman was like it wasn't called Candyman, his story, but it was
Hmm.
I think it was a
Hmm.
novella. It was a short
It
story.
was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, killer. Killer shit.
I love it.
So
Definitely
I'm
one of
trying to
my
think.
favorites.
So what do you have? So what's your all-time favorite? Is it is
Movie.
it Battle Royale?
Um, it's hard because it's so hard. I don't know. Like I've always said Pet Cemetery
Yeah, Pet
is
Sematary is
my
great.
all-time favorite movie, but it's so hard because yeah, I would have Pet Cemetery, Scream, Battle Royale, and Texas Chainsaw up there. Like
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah.
the and it's hard because they switch. Like
Sure.
I said, I always say Pet Cemetery, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe Scream.
Well,
Oh no,
yeah, it's
Texas
the
Chainsaw.
mood
Like
too.
it's yes,
It's because it's a
yes.
vibe, dog. It's a vibe.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I
It
appreciate
is.
that. I appreciate that. Because
Yeah.
mine, I mean, Exorcist is always number one for me and never
Yeah.
changes
Yeah.
ever. Never will change
Yeah. Like
ever.
no.
But as I get older, I get like I've been getting I get less gatekeepy over movies. So like
Hmm.
I've learned to just enjoy movies when they come out for what they are and not try to
Yeah.
look too much into them. Like
Hmm.
the new I don't know if you saw Exorcist Believer, the newer one that came out. It
Is
just
that the
came
one?
it was David Gordon Green that did it, the guy who did the new Halloween movies.
Oh, I'm trying to think. No, I think the last Exorcist movie I saw was with the two girls. I don't know which one
Yeah,
that
yeah, that
was.
was Believer.
That was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Okay.
that's the newest one.
Okay. So yeah, I saw it.
And I liked it, which is weird
Hmm.
because most people hated it. Almost everybody hated it.
Yeah.
And
I think it was okay. I
you
don't
would, yeah,
remember.
but you would think that like as an exorcist, like
Right.
protector, that I
Right.
would hate that movie. You know what I mean?
True. True.
Every comment I saw was like, this is fucking blasphemy. This movie
How
should be
dare they?
buried and all this shit. And I just like had this weird thing happen to me where I was like, I should be excited. Like, why am I
Yeah.
not, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why should I
Yeah.
not get, the problem is most people bury the movie before it happens because they're just
Hmm. That's
like
true.
you.
Yeah, I know. I
Like you
know.
with the faculty right now, you're burying it already. And
I'm
really,
burying it. I will dig it up though when it comes out, and then I'll
you
bury it
should.
back. No.
You should at least give yourself the chance to enjoy
No,
it.
I
You know what I
will.
mean?
I will. I really will. I'm
Because I
so
feel
mad,
like
but I
that's
will.
just way better. Because I don't think any movie fan goes into it thinking they want to hate a movie deep down. You
No,
know what I mean?
definitely not.
But
Like,
people
oh, I'm
make
gonna give
that
it a chance,
decision.
but
But people make
yeah.
that decision ahead of time
Hmm.
where the movie's already doomed. Like
Oh
remember the new
yeah.
Crow came out and everybody was like, "How dare you
Yeah.
make the Crow?"
I didn't even see
And
the
it's
new
like
one.
I didn't either because like fuck
No.
it. But like, you know,
You're like, it was me. I was the one that said
no, I
it.
didn't even because I'm not a big the Crow fan. Like
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
like the
yeah.
original movie, it's good, but like
Right.
I'm not
It's
a big
like
whatever.
not Die Hard like it.
But because like there's certain factors that go into it, that's a hard movie to tackle. Like I would have
Right.
liked to have been there every step of the way of the making of the new one because
Mm.
you're already getting greenlit for a movie that you already know people are going to be like, well, the main character in the original who people love died.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
your movie's done, you're flatlined already. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right.
like it's this cool, super interesting. Like that could be a documentary, really, of like the
Maybe you should
creators of
write
that. Like someone
it.
trying to make that movie could be a documentary on itself of
Yeah.
like them being like, we're
Hmm.
never gonna succeed, but yeah, but let's try. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. That's
Because
actually a good idea.
there are certain factors that go into that. Like for me, The Exorcist, like you
Hmm.
can't beat Linda Blair. No one's ever gonna be that character ever again. So I
Right.
think I was a little bit more like accepting the fact that it wasn't a remake. It was a
Hmm.
sequel or it was a play on it was a new movie rather than being a full-on remake. Because I don't know if you
Yeah.
could ever remake that movie. It's considered the
Right.
scariest movie of all time.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know if you could do that, but I would still watch a remake though.
No, for sure. For sure. That's what I
'Cause
said. I might talk crap about it, but I'll end up watching it
you
still.
gotta you gotta check it out. Yeah, you're like, man,
Yeah,
this movie's
yeah.
about to suck.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's check it out. Let's check it out.
One ticket, please. No.
Yeah. That's hilarious. All right, cool, man. Well, geez. Yeah, we talked about an hour. I just want everybody to know I love Lydia so much.
Oh, love you too.
This is gonna be a long episode, and like, but this episode was for me because I wanted to meet. We have never talked in person, so this is our first
No,
time
no.
talking in person. So this is kind of like I could have just not hit record and we could have just like talked shit, but
Just
like,
chatted.
which is
Yeah.
basically what we did.
Yes, yes.
But I just wanted you to know I love you. I love your page. I can't
Same.
wait
I
till you come back
know.
and make you come back. We got to do some
We're gonna
collabs
bring back
again
the
and shit.
collabs for real.
I even told my
I
wife, I was like,
know.
I was like, you won't believe who I'm having on. She's like, who? I'm like, I'm having Mama Monster on. I'm having Lydia on.
Sweet.
Because she's very protective, you know what I mean? She's like, oh,
Yeah, of
you're
course.
having another girl on the fucking, and I'm like, it's about movies, you know
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
It's
But
like,
for
but it's feel
you,
like it's Lydia though.
yeah, exactly. She's always been
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, you've been following
Hmm.
her since like the beginning." And I'm like, "I
Yes.
know, I love Lydia." And
Yes.
she's like, "Oh,
And
me
that's what I
too."
said too. My family, like my sisters and stuff, know because I told them
Yeah.
I was coming on. They're like, "Who?" And I've been on a few other like podcasts or whatever, like with a few other people, but it's like they know because they know they've seen pictures of our
Yeah,
collaborations and stuff
yeah.
like that. And I always say like, you are one of my favorite people. You were one of my first friends on Instagram. So it's just like, yeah, it's special. It's been so long and we have never talked. So.
Oh, I know it's been a long time coming. So I was like, so I want to let
Hmm.
everybody know this is like my episode. This is for me. This isn't like a
Oh,
big. I hope everybody enjoys it, obviously.
yeah,
But the
same,
reason we
always.
went off the rails so much and didn't really talk about anything specific is because
Yeah,
that's just me and you, I feel like.
we just chatting,
Yeah, we're just chatting up,
for
talking about
sure,
horror.
for
That's what I'm
sure.
talking about. It wasn't
And
like a
it is nice.
I think so. I think so. It's like
Yeah.
I think we're losing that a little bit with the community where it's all like
Well,
the content has been less about like doing what you love and like talking
yeah.
movies with people and more about like getting the views and like all that kind of shit. So,
Exactly, exactly. That's why it's nice coming like talking to you because
yeah,
it makes me like, oh, I want to come back and I want
come
to create. I
back.
want to talk
Yeah.
to people. Like I said, I created the page to talk to like-minded people.
Right,
So it's
right.
like, and I've missed that. Like
And
just, I
I think we
mean,
forget
no,
that. We forget that
yeah,
because you get like
definitely.
a certain amount of followers and then you think that like, oh,
Hmm.
maybe this could be something. Maybe this could
Yes,
be there's always
yes,
that hope that it could be like your job or it could
yeah.
make money or
Hmm.
which I think is normal, but
Yeah, but also
at the
too,
same
it
time you gotta
can.
love doing it. You gotta love doing it.
Exactly, because then you can get in your way, like, oh, I'm not getting the views or I'm not getting likes and stuff, and then you kind
Yeah,
of get so defeated. But it's like, no, I'm here
sure.
because this is what I love, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Do you ever get
And
that feeling? Like I've had that feeling a lot where like you feel like you're not when you don't post, you feel like you're
mhm.
like I should hurry up and post something, and
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
post something that you don't like that much, and
right,
you're like, wait
yes.
a minute, you gotta like take a
No,
step
I
back.
definitely have. I
Yeah, it
definitely have. And I
sucks.
think also that's why I haven't really created as much because of that reason. And
Yeah,
the last year and a half has just kind of been rough, like health wise and just so much stuff, like moving
sure,
and stuff.
sure.
But yeah, and I've been saying so before I left Germany, I was packing up my Funko Pops and I filmed all of them and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a collection because people have asked to see my collection. I was like, yeah,
Right.
I'll do that. And was it been 2 years later and I still haven't posted. Yes.
It's been a while.
So yes.
I've
So I
been
was
waiting
like,
on that video for a while and I haven't gotten it yet. So
he said, "Where's it at?" I know. So when I moved, when I moved here to Colorado, I got on my phone goes back. I was like, I never even posted a video. So I had, I did edit it. I just haven't done my voiceover. So I
right.
think that would be my comeback. And I say that terribly.
Hell
It's
yeah.
gonna be my comeback video for the last 2 years. But
The
for
comeback.
real.
The comeback is greater than the setback. That's what I like to
I,
say.
it's been
Yeah,
a
you know.
long setback.
I love that. I love that. No, but that's cool, man. I think this will be good and beneficial to people who are listening to this that are collectors or content creators, where
Yeah.
you could be like, listen, it doesn't have to be like if you have that down period of like not feeling
Mhm.
creative or you have a lot going on in your personal life, like
Yeah.
this isn't a race. Like there's no finish line.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
just take your time to be the, you always want to be there for your family first and your
Mhm.
everything like that first, and then the things that you love are supposed to be the things that you love. They're supposed to be there
Right.
for when you need them, not
Exactly.
like not you forcing yourself to do that because
Right.
then it
I
becomes
have
a
to do this.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Exactly. Hmm.
Absolutely. I think that's a good place to end it. So we'll talk after this, so don't hang up
Okay.
yet, but
Sounds
um
good.
I appreciate everybody tuning into this. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, The Crooked Crypt. We're doing some new business here. We're doing more reaction videos, more interviews, more movie reviews, that type of thing. All the things that I love to do. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And Lydia, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
See you later, guys.